Hey, welcome back. So remember the 4-Hour Work Week? It was written back in 2007 and it's a classic, right? It literally has been 15 years since that book was done. And how many of us are now living that nomadic lifestyle through the VA model, working only 4 hours a week, right? Okay, this is what we're gonna dig in. I might be a little bit passionate about this, about the VA model and this 4-Hour Work Week book, so bear with me, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what's the real truth about outsourcing, right? I might have been a little sarcastic in my intro, but over the last 15 years, I have worked with thousands of businesses of how to get freedom in their life, freedom in their business, get their business to run without them. And I can tell you that a lot of the models out there are not working. We're still in the same rat race we were 15 years ago, if not worse. I have seen so many entrepreneurs that are actually doing more and are more exhausted because we haven't really even, we're becoming this siloed type of culture, right? Between influencers or the solopreneur or the freelancer or the virtual assistant, like all of these are just individuals, but we haven't figured out how to collectively pull it all together to make it work for us. So I'm really excited today to really expose the truth of outsourcing and expose the truth of why business feels hard for you so that we can really make a difference in your life and then you can go and serve and make a difference in the lives of others. Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna get a little super real with you, but first I wanna say I like Tim Ferriss. I have no qualms with that. I'm just gonna talk a little bit bad about his book for a minute. But I promise you, it's because it hasn't solved the problem. We are still not working 4 hours a week. The VA model is not doing what it said it was gonna do for us. And so I wanna tell you why and show you that. And so let's go ahead and dig in first about the 4-Hour Work Week book, and then I'll kind of go into the virtual assistant model and we'll kind of see, oh, that's why I'm still struggling in my business. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be like, I just needed a different solution. What was out there or what I thought was out there only wasn't working for me. So really the best way to kind of pre-frame this is really to understand the evolution of outsourcing first. So when you think about when the 4-Hour Work Week book came out, it was about 2006, 2007. That's the same time I started my business, outsourcing business in 2006 as well. And that book kind of springboarded the whole kind of virtual assistant movement. It started kind of overseas virtual assistants. It since has kind of created a movement more even onshore. And then from there, what happened was people realized that, okay, virtual assistants can't be a jack of all trades. They can't do all the things that they said they're gonna do. So now I'm gonna go find somebody specialized, right? So now Upwork blew up and now we can go and find specialized skills on Upwork, which is fine. We actually use Upwork. When we need a specific skill, we don't need a lot of it and we wanna just go and get that thing done. We'll go find a specialized skill on Upwork to get that thing done. So it's not that these things don't have value. There's just limited if you wanna create a scalable, sustainable, and replicable company. If you just wanna micromanage a small company, you want to do all the work and keep your hand on everything, those models work great. This is for businesses that want to have more freedom, get their business to run without you. This is what I'm talking about today. And this is the people that I think will like my videos the most, the ones that want to get their business to work like that. So then after the Upwork side of things, we're like, okay, now I have an individual thing. Or what happened is we realized one VA wasn't enough, so I need to go hire a bunch of VAs. And now what happens is you become what I call a glorified project manager, where you're literally project managing all of these different people as a one-to-many relationship. And the problem with that is you're not being who you need to be as an entrepreneur. You were supposed to be the visionary. You're supposed to be able to go and take a month vacation if you want and have your business still run without you. Being a glorified project manager, I promise you, if you are the visionary type like me, you will not make you happy. And so that model is broken. It does not work. And so then what we did was now we're doing it all ourselves, or we're managing all these things. We're like, well, I'm still not happy. So what's the point? So a lot of us will just end up doing it all again ourselves. And then we get to where we have decision fatigue because we're having to make decisions over everything. And if you've ever worked with like a virtual assistant or freelancer, you're still having to be an expert in a lot of things. You are the project manager, they are doing the tasks. And so when you start to think about projects and then tasks make up projects, you realize that you're still owning the project and that you're still having to now delegate. You're just delegating the task components to somebody. And that really doesn't create a scalable company because again, you're still managing all of the pieces. So then some of you might have resorted to, okay, none of this is working. So over the years, you're like, I'm gonna just hire an in-house team. I've heard a lot of experts say this, they'll say, just hire an in-house team with the word just. And I kind of cringe when I hear that because Again, it took me 10 years to figure out how to build a team. If you want to build an in-house team, I can help you get there faster. You don't have to take 10 years like I did to build a good culture, but there is a finesse to it. There is a way to build it to where employees want to stay. You have low turnover. My company now has super low turnover for the industry that we are in. And so it really, if you want to build a team, it's great. You just need to know that there's work that comes with that. And you have now a responsibility that you didn't have before. You are now responsible for the livelihood of their families that you're protecting. And so it comes with a heavier weight than just doing it all yourself. So I can show you the way on how to build a team. It's great, but I'm gonna put a little bit of onus on you to, if you do it, own up to the responsibility that comes with that. So after we've tried all these solutions, a lot of times what we'll resort to is software. Okay, I'm gonna go buy some software that's going to go and solve my problems. And if you've watched my previous videos, you know I talk about automation and technology and how it's an appendage to, and a lot of times the last thing that you do. And so again, I've run into a ton of businesses that have 20 softwares that they're not even using. And so I promise you technology is not the answer either. So that said, what is the answer, right? And that, I'm gonna dig into that, and we're gonna talk to you about a team sourcing system that I have. But first, I wanna start with the 4-hour work week. So this book created this movement. It created this energy of people like, there is a way that I can have my business work without you. And it blew up. So obviously people want this. But then I think we gave up because we're like, okay, that didn't work. Maybe business is just hard. Maybe it's supposed to be stressful. Okay, so I want to now kind of dig into the 4-hour work week book a little bit. And I'm gonna do it by actually giving a quote from the 4-hour work week book, and then actually a quote from a book that I wrote a couple years ago. I think everybody wrote a book during COVID, so it's my COVID book, I'll call it. Not really about COVID, obviously, but I'm gonna compare and contrast the two because I want you to understand my frameworks and philosophies that I live by. So you can kind of see why, okay, the world has this mentality and this is not working. So maybe we need to try another mentality, and I'll show you my mentality, and I'm maybe gloating, but why it's working. Okay, so let me just go and read this quote from a part in the book of the 4-hour work week. Okay, so he goes, bear with me. What is the opposite of happiness? And he goes, sadness? He goes, no. Just as love and hate are two sides of the same coin, so are happiness and sadness. Crying out of happiness is a perfect illustration of this. The opposite of love is indifference, and the opposite of happiness is, here's the clincher, boredom. And then, so he literally thinks the opposite of happiness is boredom. Okay, excitement is the more practical synonym for happiness, and it is precisely what you should strive to chase. It is the cure-all. So he's saying excitement is the problem that we're all running into in the world. When people suggest you follow your passion or your bliss, I propose they are in fact referring to the same singular concept, excitement. This brings us full circle. The question you should be asking isn't, what do I want? Or what are my goals, but what would excite me? Okay, so now we're gonna go, and I wrote a book called Purposeful Focus in Business. I didn't wanna write this book because I hate business plans and all that stuff. I just intrinsically do what I do. You know, my team feels it. I have a vision, I have values, I'm principle-based. And then I was trying to write the book called Mastery of Business, and I wanted to write a section on like why you start your business and your purpose. And I wanted to be a small little section. And I started researching, and then I realized that I didn't agree with a lot that was out there, and that we're missing the point in a lot of this. And so I went and spent, 3-4 months researching and realizing that took the good, the bad, and the ugly and kind of put it all together, and wrote a book called Purposeful Focus in Business, where I literally drill down into purpose, values, and vision. If you're wondering why you can't find it on Amazon yet, it's because I wrote it and didn't do anything with it yet, but I'm getting there. But in the book, I write about this. So let me just talk about it. And I talk about pivoting passion into purposeful focus. So right away, you can probably see we're opposite ends of the spectrum here, him and I. So often when we start a business, we are full of passion about the risk, the challenge, the what ifs, the future. Keeping that passion alive with the demands and struggle of business is difficult. Passion is rooted in staying true to what we feel called to do, how we plan to serve others, and make the mark in the world for good. Passion is often misinterpreted as excitement, fun, or not difficult. Some say, do what you're passionate about. Others say passion is selfish. Instead of disagreeing on if the word is good or bad, selfish or selfless, let's go deeper and look at the intent. What is the intent of why we are doing something? Is it strictly to benefit us or to help others? I think that is the key difference on if passion is good or bad. And so this is where I kind of get down to the brass tacks. I remember reading a book where they referenced the key to life being about excitement, doing more of what excited you. But life is not always exciting. The word didn't resonate with me because as I reflected over all my trials, life often is difficult and sporadically exciting. If I had to wait for periods of excitement to be lived or to live a fulfilled life, disappointment definitely awaited me. Yet despite my hardships, I was happier than I had ever been before. Why? To me, excitement is tied to one event, short-lived and superficial. Life has the capability to be so much deeper than excitement and fun if we let it. I believe we are meant to have true joy and happiness. I see excitement as a short-lived emotion where passion can be a fuel that can continue to burn as long as it is rooted in purpose, allowing for a movement in an externally focused cause. Okay, so hopefully that's the end of kind of my part in the book. So you can see that I am like fully opposite of what Tim Ferriss writes about. And he also talks about a lot about how you don't need to, it's all about working a lot and really, I think you're still supposed to work hard. Even if you don't work a lot in your business, like life should be about working hard and serving others and trying to make a difference in the world. Like, I guess we come from different, what's the purpose of why we're here on this earth, right? Like, I think we come from different outlooks from that. And so from that perspective, I wanted to dig into the next part into the virtual assistant movement and kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, and when it works, when it doesn't work. But before we go into that, if you want to see more videos like this, it helps a lot if you like this video, if you subscribe to my channel, share it with other entrepreneurs. I would greatly appreciate that as I'm trying to build this channel and build a movement of entrepreneurs that really want to operate differently. We're willing to challenge the status quo. We're redefining how businesses operate. We believe we can have both growth in our company and freedom in our life. We don't have to choose between one or the other. Okay, so now let's dig into virtual assistants. So there's a lot of wonderful virtual assistants out there. I just want to put that out there first. It's not here to say they're not doing good in the world or they're not fulfilling a need. There is a need. Just the type of businesses I'm working with are different than the types of businesses that I believe virtual assistants should work for. Unfortunately, I feel like virtual assistants are touted for all types of businesses, and I don't think that it's a one size fits all. So typically, if you're a smaller company and you like to kind of keep your hands in all the pieces, if you really struggle letting go and you don't plan to ever let go, if you want to not create, you don't really care about creating a growth company that's scalable, sustainable, replicable, and then there are companies like that, and that is okay. They just plan to kind of do a little side thing, have a few different things. Virtual assistants are great for that. Upwork with specialized skills are great for that. Like, it's a great way to kind of have somebody that you can work closely with and delegate it out. Now, where it becomes a problem is if you are the business that I'm trying to work with that want to get their business to run without them, that want to create a scalable, sustainable, and replicable company. That is when we run into issues. And so if you think about just the virtual assistant model in general, right? It's a one-to-one relationship. I, as the entrepreneur, am working with the virtual assistant. But what happens is the virtual assistant, again, can't be an expert in everything. And so I, as the entrepreneur, will go and be the project manager. I will come up with the ideas, and then I will go to the virtual assistant and train them and get them to do the thing. Now, what happens when the virtual assistant leaves or doesn't work out? You now have to go find another virtual assistant, and you actually have to go and find somebody else. It's just the effort to go find somebody. I mean, it took me months to find somebody to clean my house just because I didn't want to go find the person. Like, that took more effort than I wanted to go find him. Now that I have somebody, it's great, I love it. But there's just so much energy that is expended to go find somebody. And so now you have to go find the next virtual assistant, and then you got to start all over, right? You got to go train them. And again, it's very people heavy. So you might have some process documentation in Trello or wherever, but at the end of the day, you're still having to kind of show them your way, showing them your ropes. And so to me, if I had to look back over the last 15 years of my business and the biggest things that affected my business the most, I would say it is turnover. Turnover has killed my momentum in my company more than it ever has before, especially when you're smaller. I would say 15, even 25 employees or less. Turnover can really, really hurt you. Now we're over 50 employees, like, it doesn't sting. Like, we have, if one leaves, it's not, it might hurt depending where they're at, but it usually can get absorbed pretty quickly by somewhere else. But in those early stages, man, that turnover is a killer. And that really is how that virtual assistant model is built, right? And we're expecting somebody to be an expert in that, and they're just not going to be. And the other thing that we're doing is every time you go to a virtual assistant and train them, we are reinventing the wheel, because there are probably a million other entrepreneurs training another virtual assistant on the exact same thing. So how do we solve that? And that's really what I've done within our team sourcing system, is said, okay, let's take all the things that are the same, go create an actual program where we can be strategic, we can integrate different departments together, we can go and create processes that are already lined out. So for instance, if you need your phones answered, there's best practices on how to answer your phone. If you need your social media posted, there's best practices on how to do that. If you want an email campaign, there's best practices on how to do that. If you want to automate certain software together and stitch together, there's best practices on how to do that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So what I really have done with the team sourcing system is said, okay, what are all those patterns? What are the best practices? Let's go and do that. So entrepreneurs can come in, buy a pre-built thing, implement it, and then get it to just run without them. And then we manage the turnover. We have what's called turnover insurance, where it doesn't fall back on you. We manage the programs and the project management and get it to go without them. I literally have clients that have been with us for 12 years, 10 years, 8 years, that literally have the same exact service they implemented 10, 12 years ago that's still on autopilot with us today. And that's kind of the benefit of team sourcing and what it can do. There's many others, but that's kind of a huge one. And kind of the next level, the reason why I'm excited about this YouTube channel and get entrepreneurs in here is because, yeah, I've created the pre-built, but really where I want to go involves you. I need you to challenge our best practices. I need you to challenge the way things are done, because I believe there's so much more innovation that can happen even in our own company. We've autopiloted best practice today, but what's best practice for tomorrow? And so I've created in my company an innovative company where I'm not okay saying this is the end all be all forever. This is the best thing today that we have, but let's challenge it and what's the best thing for tomorrow. Okay, so we ruled out that 4 hours a week isn't realistic. What I think is realistic and that I'm pushed for is a 5-hour workday. And if you can work 5 hours a day, and how much more time would you have to be with your family, to serve in your community, to put effort in other areas? And so it's not about you can't have this great vision and create a really great company, but I want to challenge you. Can you do it in 5 hours a day? And that's really kind of the movement that I want to build and even start to create a culture around that. I think in America, especially, we're overworked here, have all these tools to make us productive, yet we are working harder than ever before. And so again, I want to challenge you to say, what would it take, back into that number, what would it take to get me to work 5 hours a day or less? And so that is the realistic version of the 4-hour work week and the realistic version of how to outsource. So hopefully today in this video, I have shown you how to, take the good and the bad and the ugly of everything that I said. But really this team sourcing system is the solution that those other ones don't solve. So if you're like, what is this team sourcing solution? I want to learn more. You can actually go to discoverteamsourcing.com. It's free to apply. And then you can actually even get on a free strategy call after that, where we can actually get with you a team sourcing specialist and actually talk about your business and how team sourcing would fit in with you. So no matter if you're in the foundation, growth, or momentum stage of business, we have a solution that can work with you on where you're at today. So thanks so much. I'll see you on the inside of team sourcing.